I don't know what it is about bass fishing. The moments between when you first see that fish and it gets in the boat, I don't know what your heart rate goes to or does, but it's something else. I have a unique situation. I own and operate a large tackle retail business, as well as fish tournaments, as well as design manufactured lures. Rapala is one of our largest suppliers. I've had great relationships with those guys for 25, 30 years. A lot of them are like family to me. Since I was a kid, Rapala's been my favorite brand of fishing lures, plain and simple, ever since the X-Rap came out when I was probably in grade 7. I remember my grandfather, who used to take me fishing a lot when I was a kid, had a lot of original floating Rapalas, and as I grew older, I think I became more immersed into the tackle end of it and bass fishing. And when we got old enough, me and my friends that lived out on the lake started exploring bass fishing primarily, and we are very fortunate where we live here. These are, in my opinion, the best tournament lakes in North America. Where we live in Kenora, it's on Lake of the Woods, and there's 14,000 islands on Lake of the Woods. You couldn't fish the entire lake in a lifetime if you tried. So I got super lucky. I have never had a job outside of the fishing industry. When I was a kid, I bagged minnows at my dad's gas station. I later got to order tackle, Rapalas, etc. for his gas station. And then I went on to developing lures, manufacturing lures, and guiding full-time, as well as fishing tournaments. And in 2014, I had a really good year. I was still young, I would have been 23, I believe. I just knew I had to do something other than guiding and fishing tournaments, and I took all that money and kind of rolled the dice and started Lake of the Woods Sports, and man, am I thankful for that life decision every day.
Do you have a favorite species to catch?
Bass, bud. I don't know what it is about bass fishing. It's a cool game. It's a big multi-layered chess game, and I don't think it'll ever get old. The moments between when you first see that fish and it gets in the boat is, I don't know what your heart rate goes to or does, but it's something else. I think being a tournament angler has a great advantage to owning a tackle shop. I think it helps you know what you need to have in there. I think it was 5 years ago now, I got a call from Dave Neal swearing me to secrecy. And I wasn't allowed to tell any soul, not even an employee of Rapala. He said, "Bryan, I think we're thinking about making plastics under the Rapala name. What do you think?" And I told him straight up, I was like, if you're gonna do it, you're gonna have to do it right. The one thing about Rapala is they have never put their name on a product that doesn't work, and that's one thing I'm very proud of them for. Over these last 4 years, I mean, the amount of time we've spent talking product development would blow most people's minds. Me and Tom McMurray have texted and called back and forth at all hours of the night for years on end about just the simplest thing like flecking a bait, hardness of the plastic. It's really well thought out. It wasn't rushed. That's the one thing, is you see a lot of things come out that are rushed and they're good, but they're not great. This was not rushed. They let this marinate. They had Gen 1 samples, Gen 2 samples, Gen 3. They weren't afraid to make changes. They weren't afraid to take their time at it. I think it really shows in the product. When these products had final packaging, Mark Van Beek and some of the other guys at Rapala, Cyril, Don, were like, let's air freight these for tournament season and make sure we get them ASAP the second they're launched at ICAST. And I didn't know and they didn't know I was gonna win a bunch of tournaments on these this year. Nobody knew that. They were announced mid-July and I won the Canadian Championship on a few of these baits the next week. The mare is by far the bait I've had the most love on, I guess you could say. 5-pounder. That's as big as you grow them on Lake of the Woods right there. We definitely try to only have tournament products in our store and products that we all personally use. And there's a reason that there's, 5 Rapala aisles in our store. And there's gonna be more now. It just works, man. That it's a company that has never made a product that does not work. All the way from the original floating Rapala, the prop baits, the crank baits, the DTs, the list goes on. And all these baits have won so many tournaments, and you see it year and year again. And the big part about owning a tackle shop is the rewarding feeling of selling baits that do work and that can help people in tournaments or just out fun recreational fishing. And it's a rewarding feeling when you could help them catch fish, and Crush City is gonna make that happen as well. It's cool that you could just walk in and buy them now, and it is something I'm proud of, and it's something I'm proud of the guys that spent a lot of time working on it. I think it's gonna do big things, and I think people are really gonna enjoy the product. The brand is one thing, and it is an amazing brand, and I don't think there ever has been or will be another brand like it in fishing, but the people that work for the brand, that's what makes that company for sure. I think the future is whatever the consumer and the pros need, and that's been the awesome part of it all along. Is when they had this finished product ready, they weren't done. I've had calls this month alone about, what's the most unique idea you have? What's the most unique shape that we could come up with? What's something that no one else has? When companies think and act like that, special things can happen. I've seen it firsthand a number of times, and I think this is just the tip of the iceberg, and you're gonna see some really cool things the next couple of years, and that's all I'm gonna say.